everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Samantha Anderson. I am a freelance artist and teacher hoping to inspire creativity. If you would like more videos like these, please take a second to like and subscribe down below. It really helps in the algorithm of YouTube to help get my videos seen to more people. If you want to receive notifications of when I go live, please make sure to hit the bell and choose all notifications. If you have any questions during or after the class, make sure to pop a comment down below and I will answer it as soon as I can. I'll be leaving timestamps down below so you can skip ahead to the start of class, but I will be sharing announcements as well as supplies, so make sure to stick around for that. If interested in learning more about my classes, please follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And feel free to check me out on Patreon, where I teach exclusive classes to those who support me. In Patreon, I also give traceables for all of my live classes, including this one. Lastly, if you would like to share your work after class with me and others who painted along with us, please head over to Facebook, as I have an artist community where you can share your finished painting with us. I'll leave links for all of that in the description box below. Thanks for joining me, and let's get started. Hi everyone! Welcome back to another class. Let's see. For some reason, this isn't working. Is my timer working now? Okay, there we go. There we go. Alright, welcome back to another class. I am excited for this one. I'm always excited for like trees and nature ones. So hello. How am I? Let's see, how am I? I am tired and busy. Very busy. We are getting ready for our road trip, our 10-day road trip to Missouri to visit my brother-in-law. He's getting he's getting married for a wedding, and then we're gonna go to Colorado Springs for some snow time with the family. It's like our first vacation ever, so it's a bit hectic around here the last few days, trying to get everything ready. And there's other things going on in our complex that we have to like clear off the back patio and clear out our kitchen and stuff like that. But I'm ready just to relax and paint. It's like my getaway from real life sometimes. But let's see. Hi Mike. Hello Donna from Indiana. I almost read India and then I was like, that's not right. Indiana, watching from Washington. Welcome in. And Natalie from Canada. Yeah, I'm ready to relax and paint. I feel like I've been running around the house with like a chicken with its head cut off, because I just feel like I have so much to get done, so I'm excited just to relax and paint. And I hope you are too. Yes, you are from India. I think that's why I read India, because I knew that you were in here. And then when she said Indiana, my brain, I mean, granted, there is India in Indiana. I'm just getting the paints out now. I'm not going to put my traceable on there, because I want to, this one's a little less, it's a little easier without a traceable. Obviously, the traceable's still there if you want to use it. By all means, you'll also get a bunch of quick tips and other things that you can use to learn. But for this specific one, because it is fairly simple, I want to teach it without the traceable. If you have the traceable, feel free to put it on your canvas now. There's no harm in that. If anything, it'll give you an idea of, because we are going to do some preliminary sketching with our paint. So if you already have that down, then you won't have to, you won't have to do that. 4:13, goodness, in the morning. You are up so late. I remember when I used to do that. Most of the time it was because I was in college and, you know, procrastinating on work, but okay, let's see what colors we need. I'm gonna get my colors now. My black, my white, have that out. Raw umber. You could use raw umber or burnt umber. I think I'm running low on raw umber and I haven't gotten more, so use what you have. Burnt umber it is. And the yellow that I'm using, you don't have to use yellow ochre, but it'll save a step in a lot of the colors that we're going to use. Primarily the color of yellow ochre is like the yellow color. So we are going to be using some other brighter yellows, so you can still get that one out. And if you don't have yellow ochre, obviously you can still make it. It's just yellow with like a hint of brown. So don't worry if you don't have it. You can still make it. It's just, it kind of saves a step within the process just because there is so much yellow ochre in this painting. And also if you wanted to use a different color like red or orange, you could also do this painting in those colors too, or a mix of all of them. I think what stood out to me so much in this painting was that it was just very bright and beautiful in its yellows, and I don't think I've really done anything that was primarily like in this hue, so it really stood out to me when I was picking out my my colors or my paintings. Let's see, what else did I put down here? Red, orange, blue. Yeah, it's pretty much just the primary colors. Just get those out. I'm getting out my phthalo blue, but you could use ultramarine blue if you wanted to. I think it's just, there's hints of blue in the sky, I believe. Yeah. I'm not looking at the picture right now, so. And then our red. I think I might get out my orange. No, I'll get out my red. Because I can make orange if I need it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's pretty much just the primary colors, or versions of the primary colors. Black, white, and brown. It's pretty simple. Yeah. Let me think of any announcements. Oh, we just finished, where is it? In my Patreon. So in my Patreon, I have essentially 2 different levels of classes. The first one, so essentially the first tier is pretty much traceables, quick tip videos, and then like life updates. And then in the second one, there's like more in there, but that's the gist of it. And then the second one has all of that plus Friday tutorials. So next month there's 3 classes instead of 2, which is really cool. So if you haven't joined and you want to get the most out of your month, next month would be a great month to join, because I'm giving 3 classes. But then the highest tier, I do a Patreon Zoom class with the highest tier. So whoever can join at a specific time, I try to get as many people as possible. I think I have like 6 or 7 people in there, and we just finished this one. So we did the sitting hummingbird, and we had a little bit of fun with it, and we did, the colors look way better in person. I don't know why it looks so grayed out right now, but they're bright pinks and purples, and it's really pretty. And we had a little bit of fun with the texture with a palette knife, and I just love how it all came together. So that's now available as a live Zoom replay. And just like the Friday tutorials, that if you ever join, you'll also have access to all of the previous classes within that tier as well. So it's a really cool opportunity to just dive your feet in. You get to support me while learning and get access to a whole archive of classes. So that's really fun. Other updates. I'm going on a trip, so I won't really have access to internet per se on this trip, because we'll be on the road mostly, and then up in the mountains. So I don't know how much. I'm kind of hoping to like have a vacation and away from work. But obviously, if you need something, feel free to comment or message, and I'll get back to it as soon as I can. What is everybody else up to? We have about 10 minutes before we start painting. I'm interested to know. Does anybody else have any vacations coming up? It's crazy how it's already almost April. Family first, as in put my family first. Yes, that is what I'm hoping to do specifically for this trip, and just block out everything. I'm kind of excited not to have. I will probably have internet access, maybe. I don't know. I'm kind of excited just not think about it. But it's our for anyone in the chat wondering, Mike Anderson is my husband, and of course he's coming with me. So he's like, I'm going on a trip too. Dirt. Haha. It is our first family road trip ever, because, you know, we had a kid and then got pregnant and had another kid, and then COVID hit, and it's been a long time coming, and then I had another kid. So it's crazy how that happens. Now I got 3 kids, first road trip, super excited. But I'm really excited to see my kids in snow. Yeah. So I grew up in the snow, so I have lots of fun memories from the snow. Here's a question. What's your favorite type or brand of paint? Or do you have a preference? I know a lot of people use craft paint, which is like in the little, they're like these bottles, except this is full body acrylics from Hippie Crafter. But you find like the craft, so a lot of people use that, which I almost want to do a video of like the difference, like paint the same thing with different paints and like see the difference. But and then other people use student grade, other people use professional. This is technically professional grade. It's professional artist. But yeah, let me know if you have like a favorite type of paint that you use. I'm using some fan brushes today. I'm gonna get those out because I don't use them every. I do not use them every class. I've used this one the most. Or probably the 2 smaller ones, but I am on a bigger canvas this time, so I might use the bigger one. I think my husband's trolling me right now. Yeah, he is. Mike, that is wall paint. No, I know. I know. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's not acrylic paint. Goodness. Alright. these out. If you don't have fan brushes, then you could get like an older brush that maybe is a little bit afraid. Not afraid, that is frayed. And you could use that, or you could use a filbert sometimes. For the most part, any brush you could probably do this technique with. It's probably just easiest with a fan brush. Specifically a hog bristle brush. Let me show you the difference in this. So these are the two brushes. So this came in the kit that I use. It's like right in front of my face. This came with the kit that I use like all my other brushes with. It's a fairly cheaper thing off of Amazon. I like to use things that are affordable for my students and people who watch me so that I can use and experience the same things that you guys do, because not everyone can afford brushes. I would say though, if you are going to invest in art supplies, do it in your brushes first, because those are going to, it's the first thing that touches the canvas, and it's probably the most important, I would say. So if you are going to invest, like, do it in your brushes. That being said, starting out, not everyone can invest hundreds of dollars into these things. So this came with the kit, and it's super, it's nylon, so it doesn't hold, like, it's not stiff at all, versus this, it's hog bristle, and it's a lot stiffer. So when you put paint or water on it, it doesn't, like, here, let me get this, let me show you. I'm gonna get this wet. You see how it clumps up? And if you turn it to the side, it's just like in a straight line, and it just doesn't fan out. You want something that's gonna fan out. Let me get this one wet. See, it's all fuzzy, and it would give a good fanning. Get it wet. Practically nothing happened. It's still stiff, it still works. So the only thing that I've bought separately from this kit, you know, now a year and a half into having this kit, which I still use in all my classes, is get a good fan brush. And then from the same company, I got a liner brush. And this came, I think there's 4 in each kit, but it was super helpful. And that's mainly because I was using the liner brush a lot, and it started to get a little bit frayed. And so that's when you know, okay, it's time to get a new brush. And because it is a little bit, you know, cheaper, that's why I say your good brushes, if you take care of them, will last you longer than a cheaper brush. But to start off, they're great, and it's great to get like a variety of brushes. I hope that's helpful in choosing. I think I do have, maybe not in this video, but on my Amazon shop, I have both the liner brush and the these fan brushes that I use in this video. So feel free to go up on there. I like them. I love them. I've been using them the past couple months, and I have no issues with them. So, yeah, we're almost about to get started. If you guys have any other questions before we get started, feel free to put them down below, and I'll try to get to them before we start. Okay. just going to do this. "41 seconds. I usually like to wait until 4. I guess it's 4 now, but I like to wait until 4 before starting because some people don't get in until 4. So, alright. Make sure everything's working. Alright, and we'll see you on this other side. We'll see you on the other side. There we go. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Samantha Anderson. I am a freelance artist and teacher hoping to inspire creativity. If you would like more videos like these, please take a second to like and subscribe down below. It really helps in the algorithm of YouTube to help get my videos seen to more people. If you want to receive notifications of when I go live, please make sure to hit the bell and choose all notifications. If you have any questions during or after the class, make sure to pop a comment down below and I will answer it as soon as I can. I'll be leaving timestamps down below so you can skip ahead to the start of class, but I will be sharing announcements as well as supplies, so make sure to stick around for that. If interested in learning more about my classes, please follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and feel free to check me out on Patreon where I teach exclusive classes to those who support me. In Patreon, I also give traceables for all of my live classes, including this one. Lastly, if you would like to share your work after class with me and others who painted along with us, please head over to Facebook as I have an artist community where you can share your finished painting with us. I'll leave links for all of that in the description box below. Thanks for joining me, and let's get started. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another class. I'm excited for this one. We're gonna have a lot of fun with it. Hopefully it'll be a little bit simpler than some of the other ones that we've done, having a little bit more of a nature feel to it, so I'm excited to get started. Let's go over some supplies real quick, and then we'll get into announcement, and then we'll get started, okay? So today I am using a Frederick's 11 by 14 stretched canvas. I was so kindly gifted these about a month back, and I'm excited to use them. They're super great quality, and they're just really nicely stretched. So I will be using that. I'm not going to be using a traceable today. While they are available on my Patreon, I'm going to show how to look at this picture and transfer it with just some general sketching. So if you have a traceable and you would like to use it, feel free to put that on now. Otherwise, we'll be doing it during class, okay? The paints that I'm going to be using are mostly Hippie Crafter acrylics. The colors I'm going to be using are white, black, and I have on there a raw umber, but I'm low on raw umber, so I'm going to be using burnt umber. It's just a tad bit lighter, but it's still a brown. And then I have yellow on there. I'm going to be using a medium yellow. And then I also have a yellow ochre. Like I was saying in the chat beforehand, if you don't have a yellow ochre, you can just mix your brown and your yellow. This simply saves a step throughout the class. When you need more yellow ochre, it just kind of saves time in mixing. So if you do have a yellow ochre, feel free to get that out. We will be using that. And then there's a phthalo blue. I'm gonna get that out. There's some blue tones in the gray of the road, so that's what that's gonna be used for. And then I have a red just here on the side, just out in case I need to use it. There's, some orange tints in there, here and there, so I'll just be having that on the side for later. So those are the colors, and I'm using all full body acrylics. Mostly Hippie Crafter, and then I have a latex refill of my white. I have my palette, my water, and a napkin. And then for the brushes, I just have the general kit that I have linked below. But then I also have some fan brushes. Now these are available in my Amazon shop. I have recommended them on there as well, and these are really nice. What I was explaining to you earlier is that the one that comes in the kit is nylon, and it's super flimsy, and it doesn't really get a good fanning in my opinion. So I did end up buying these maybe about a month ago, and I love them. They're hog bristle, so they just actually create texture. So I will be using some of those. If you do not have a fan brush, that's okay. Just get any other brush, preferably one that's like old and frayed. If not, then you can just, we'll be doing the same things of pouncing into our paint. So whatever brush you have, you could probably still get a good pouncing with like a filbert on some of these ones that are over here. It'd probably still be a good brush to use, and I might even play around with it. But yeah, so those are the brushes that I will be using, and I believe that's all of the supplies. I do have just a few announcements. Next month in Patreon, there's going to be 3 classes instead of 2, because the first class is on April 1st. So there's 5 Fridays in April, so you'll be getting 3 classes instead of 2. So if you've wanted to sign up and you haven't been sure about the classes and things like that, you'll get a bonus. You'll get a bonus class. So feel free to, there's plenty of links in the description. But yeah, feel free to join us over there. Just wait until the 1st to sign up. And then the other one is, this is the second class of the month, which means it is our Patreon art supply giveaway. So let me set that up, and we'll get right over here. So here's our wheel. So I have everybody in here who has allowed me to have access to their address, so I can send them a gift. So let's go ahead and start that, and we'll see who wins that. And this is just a gift for me to give back to the community who supports me. And Janet Glaze. All right, Janet, I will go ahead and send that over to you. You're going to get some sponge daubers, and yeah, congratulations. And thank you everyone for supporting me. I do those like once a month. But yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get to painting. We are going to get out some yellow ochre and just put down a little bit of sketching, and I'll go over that in just a second. Alright, so I'm going to grab, let's see, just a small round brush. It doesn't really matter the size. I would suggest doing a small. If you don't have yellow ochre, then just use whatever yellow you have. It doesn't have to be yellow ochre. I'm just doing a color that's already in the background for the most part, and yeah, so that is what we're doing there. And actually, I almost feel like I want to do the whole thing yellow or brown and then put in, we'll do it this way. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab a little bit of a light color. You could even do gray if you wanted to keep it neutral. But I'm going to grab some water and mix it with my yellow paint. Just a little bit on the side. I'm not like mixing all of it. I'm just mixing a little bit of this, and get a generous amount of water so that it goes on the canvas really easy, and you can move it around and you don't have to worry about the texture of the canvas showing through. Alright, so the focal point of this painting is like literally right in the center. So I'm just gonna put a little, figure out kind of where the center of the canvas is, and that's pretty much where the road meets. I'm gonna put two little nibs, two little dots at the edge of the canvas where the road goes off of the canvas. So it's a little bit further up, and I think technically it's like higher on the right side, but I'm just gonna do it in the center so that it's all centered. And I'm just going to draw a somewhat straight line, as much as I can, as straight as I can. And I'm even going to there we go. So that's essentially that's where the road is. Okay, so now that we have the road, that's like, honestly, that's pretty much all that we need. I'm just gonna put in a little bit of this and kind of where the tops of this is. I'm just generally sketching this in. It doesn't have to be perfect, but that's just how I know where, like, to put in all of my sky. And this one comes out pretty much like this. Alright, so now I know that I need to go throughout this whole section with my kind of white sky, and I'm going to put a little bit more of a blue over here. And that's pretty much it. I think maybe I'll put one more line in here of where the base of the where the base of the trunks lay, kind of like it's out here. And then like that. Sure. Alright, gonna rinse out my brush because we are done with that. I'm going to grab some white. And I'm going to grab the tiniest bit of blue. Tiniest bit. Just to tint the white over here, just the tiniest bit of blue. I'm going to grab my, let's see, I'm going to grab a large filbert. If you don't have a large filbert brush, it's like a medium to large filbert, you can grab just your flat brush, just a flat, either wash or a flat 3/4 inch or 1 inch. It would be fine. And I'm going to paint this area and this area white. Essentially what we're going to do is we're kind of going to block in the majority of the colors, and then we're going to come back in with our textures and our lighting. So I'm going to wet my brush, dab it so it's not dripping, grab this white, grab a little bit more water. And I am full on just going over these yellow lines that I created. Because I'm going to come out further with those, you know, with the trees, but I want to make sure that I go all the way over that so that I have that sky in there. And I'm going to put it over here on the right corner as well. Grab a tiny bit of water. If you're using craft paint, you probably won't need to add water to your paint. And I'm gonna add just the tiniest bit of yellow. And when I say tiniest bit, meaning like you probably won't even be able to tell. But just because there is a little bit of that like glow sun over here, I'm just going to, while it's still wet, brush that into this white. Can't really even tell on the screen, but it's there. And then I'm going to take some white with just like the tiniest bit of blue. Actually, I think there's more blue in it than I realize. But you can just keep adding a little bit of blue until you get the color you want. I think it's closer. It's like a sky blue, honestly. It's just really hard to see. It's hard to see it through the trees. Alright, and I'm going to go back into my white right here and just blend in some of that white. We're not going to be able to see a whole bunch of this, like a majority of it, because we're going to cover it up. But it's there for when it wants to peek through. Alright. I know it looks silly now, but we're just prepping everything. I'm going to make my road now. So while that dries, thank you. I appreciate it. While that dries, I'm going to make my road color, and I'm just going to look at the main road color. I'm not going to look at the highlights or the sun rays yet. I'm just looking at the main colors, and I'm going to block that in real fast. So I'm going to get out some black. I already have my black, I already have my white, my blue, and so I just need my black. I'm going to grab my palette knife. Now I often use a palette knife to mix on my flat canvas. If you do not have a palette knife and you're mixing, try to grab the smallest brush you have so that you're not mixing in a giant brush, because those colors will go in the brush unmixed and then you'll have streaks later when you're trying to paint with it. So try to grab your smallest brush so that you can you're not wasting paint in it. You can rinse it out and then use whatever brush you're going to be using for that area. I think I need some more blue, so let's be honest. There's not much blue on my palette. I'm going to grab all of this white and probably 2/3 of the amount is white and 1/3 is blue, and then I'm just going to grab a touch of black. I probably need a lot more white, but yeah, I need a lot more white. And actually what I'm also going to do is I'm going to add some brown to my concoction, because that will kind of dull down the color just a little bit. Kind of make it muddier, but that's what we want. It's in this area. Alright, so I think the main color is a little bit darker, so I'm going to put a little bit of blue and black in there. And the reason I do both is because putting black in it will just make it more gray. I want to darken it up without making it too gray. Alright, so this is probably a good color to start with. We can always put this on the canvas and then tweak it later when we start adding some other colors. So I'm going to go ahead and just take this. And I think the problem is that I'm using a blue that's making it green, and the color of the actual it's cooler, and this is a little bit too much of a warm gray. So I think when I do this again, when I go over this, I'm going to grab my ultramarine blue instead, and that will help cool down the colors a little bit, so it won't look like it's green. So I'm just going to fill in this whole area. I'm gonna get the underside. And the side. Alright, so now we got that all covered. We're going to let that dry before we add any more on there. Alright, right, and I'm going to make two different colors. I'm going to make kind of this darker brown, darker yellow, the brownish color, and then put in the light. But first, we're just going to focus on the darks right now. So I'm going to take my yellow and mix some brown in it. We should get a pretty close color. That's pretty good. I'm going to just cover a lot of this area with this color. This top section here. Just so we have something to work with. And just a base color. For the most part, I'm just going to go towards, I'm going to kind of leave the top area alone so that I can come back over it with the actual colors. So I'm just going back and forth, kind of fanning it out. Kind of just making it fuzzy. And we'll come back over it with our actual colors. So we're just getting in some base colors right now. And if you wanted to, you could even take your brush and start putting in some of these background colors by just dabbing. But it's like super far away, so there's not going to be a lot of detail. So this is what mine looks like. I'm just using the filbert to like sideways, and it's creating like kind of tree aspects to it. I'm just focusing on this back, like the back area, and I'm going to fill in this front area now with some brown. It's okay if it's a little bit on the watery side, that's fine. I'm going to go into a little bit of white and mix in some of this over here. See how it kind of gets lighter up there? A little bit more my white. And now I'm going to take the brown that I have left and add a little bit of white to it. Maybe a little bit of this yellow, of the yellow ochre. I'm making kind of a tannish color, so again that's just the brown, white, and yellow. I'm going to put that here. It's not the perfect color. We still have a lot to go, but we're also only 30 minutes into our class. So trust the process, and I promise you it'll come out. We'll get there. This is what I would call the ugly stage. This right now, this is the ugly stage. And a lot of people get really discouraged at this point, and they're just like, this does not look good. This doesn't look like the picture at all. But a lot of times this first step is what makes everything else easier and doable. And you have to just trust that it'll all come out. It'll work. Alright, so I'm just going to fill in this area. Again, this is just that kind of lighter tan area. Alright. Here comes some of the fun part. We're going to try to work our way from back to front. Not necessarily like top, bottom, or anything like that. So back to front means we're working essentially from the middle out. And we'll probably do the road last. And kind of do the edges at the end to kind of finish up. So let's go ahead. Let's see, I'm gonna make the picture bigger for me because it's on a tiny little screen. Alright, there we go. Now I can see it a little bit better. Alright. Let's go ahead and make, let's get out a small fan brush. Now if you don't have a small fan brush, go ahead and grab, actually for this, I'm going to use a small filbert. I'm going to use a small filbert for the very, very back. And I'm going to go in just with my pure yellow and maybe a tad bit of white. And I'm going to use the general shape that it has on the edge of it to get some tree-like things coming out here. And that's pretty much it. There's some darker bits in here, so I'm going to mix this with a tiny bit of black. And know that there's like a smaller tree over here. I'm just gonna put that in. You don't have to, but sometimes the differentiating of the different like the contrasts is helpful. Okay, so let's go ahead and make another brown. I'm gonna get out my brown. I'm going to just get out my brown and mix some yellow with it. Sorry, the yellow ochre. I think I'll need a little bit more yellow ochre. I'm gonna do more yellow ochre and then just like a touch of white. Alright, so I have a good amount of this color, which is great because that's what I'll need for pretty much a lot of this. Alright. I'm going to take my, I'm going to use my smaller fan brush for the ones that are like further back, and then as I come forward I'll switch to a larger one. So I'm going to kind of put in some of this detail here so that when I come over it with my branches, it's going to because I want to put in some of the detail here. So I'm just going to put some texture down here. And then go into my black and put in just a few lines. So now when I go back into this, I'm kind of doing like a little bit of a swinging motion of coming in and then going back out. And I'm gonna put, there's like a tree that's right here. And as I go up, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow ochre to my brush. I'm just dabbing back and forth. Go into a little bit of the darker. Just give texture to all of that. I'm gonna go into my black just a little bit and mix that with a little bit of the brown so that I can go in a little bit here and mix that into the left side. I'm gonna pretend there's another tree here. And feel free to use the different angles of your brush. If one's not working as well as you thought it would, change the angle of it. If a certain brush isn't giving you the, the technique that you want, you can switch brushes and use a different brush. See if that one gives you a better, a better look for what you're trying to do, trying to accomplish. Sometimes using two different brushes for different things works well. Alright, I'm just going to use this brown and give some darkness over here. Using my brown and my black mixed together. And I'm just giving some darkness so that when I come back over with the light, there's something to come across, like to put over it. There's something to put the light over. Remember not to cover up all of your sky. You want some of that sky to come in. I'm going to go in with some darker brown in some of these areas. At this point, I'm mostly just like covering this area with this texture. I'm not necessarily trying to cover the whole thing. Like every little, I don't want to cover up all that lightness, but there is quite a bit of darkness back here. I want to go back in with some black. Put a couple more trunks. And they can be skinny, they can be fat, they can be crooked. Maybe some dark areas in there. I'm gonna rinse out my brush because I have a lot of paint in it. Put in more trunks. Put in really skinny ones in the back. Maybe they're further away. And even just with that first coat of texture, it already looks really, really good. Alright, so I'm going to come in here with a small round brush and some water with the brown. And I'm going to put in here some of these trees that I see. One starts up here. And just kind of gently put it in there. And then there's also some ones over here, but I'm actually going to get a liner brush. I wasn't sure if I was going to use one. But I'm going to grab this brown and I'm going to mix it with some white. And a tad bit of this yellow. Just so it can kind of blend into the background just a little bit. Because the sun glare coming from the top is making it all kind of washed out. So grabbing some water, and the trick with liner brushes is having enough water in your substance. I'm actually going to put a little bit more white back in here. With just my filbert. I'm just gonna dab it in there. Alright. And that's just so that I can come back over it with those other colors. Go in with some more trunks into that white, and I'll come back over with more texture. I'm going to first do some texture with the same color in here. And then you can go in and add a little bit more darkness to it, add another coat. Alright. I'm going to get back to my fan brush and this brown, and actually I'm going to put in some small branches first. Actually, I'm going to connect to the branches after. You can do it either way. So if you're more comfortable with doing the branches first and then putting stuff on those, or focusing on, you know, where you want your tree, and then you can connect your branches later. So I'm just very lightly adding this with the tip of the brush. Just sparse. Now I can come back in with my liner brush and add all of these. Alright, there's that. Going to add a little bit of a brown black mixture. It's over here. I think I might actually do this one with a filbert. Get some more brown out. Oh, sorry, get more black out. Mix this black in here. I'm just tapping this whole time. Now for this one over here, because it's a little bit on the lighter side, I'm going to slowly start incorporating some white and yellow. So like over here, it's a little bit on the lighter side. And I'm going to add a little bit of a darker edge, so I added some brown and black to the kind of whitish brown substance. And as I come back down, I can start going back into the browns. And the blacks. I'm going back into my yellow a little bit. Do a little bit more on this side. I'm going to go back into kind of this tan color for the top here. And I've got a little bit of brown, but mostly like my white and my yellow. Just going to add some texture here. So that's a little bit lighter on that side. All right, we're gonna make I'm gonna make some trunks here with our brown and black color. I'm just going to come down. I think I'll even put in some of this lighter color. Just so that there's some diversity in it. Rinse my brush out. I'm going to put in some yellow ochre with my filbert, just kind of tapping it in. Maybe a little bit of white. Back in the back here. And maybe in certain areas. And going to start filling in with this color and figure out where these stripes are. And I'm essentially putting in where the highlights are not. So essentially there's like one here. One that goes all the way in there, and I can put some of that back in. Alright, and if you wanted to come back with your filbert, or sorry, not your filbert, oh, your filbert or your fan brush, I'm going to get some of this darker brown with some of this yellow. And put in some more texture. I'm gonna grab some black, kind of this dark brown, just to pull out some of this darkness. And just continue to add different textures with your different colors, your whites, your yellows, your browns. I think that's good for now. I'm gonna rinse out my brush. And just with some plain yellow ochre, I'm going to put in some highlights in the very, very back. I think at this time I'm going to grab my yellow medium, which is very much a brighter yellow, and I can put some of this in the back. All right. Now I'm going to work on the right side and just start adding some texture over here. I'm going to add a little bit of white and yellow ochre to this brown. Just some general texture, and then I can add to it. I'm gonna add some dark texture over here, and then kind of in a line over here. I'm gonna grab some yellow ochre and my white. Mix it with what's in my brush, and I'm going to put just a little bit of what would be this like light color. And real quick, just so that I know where these light parts, light bits are, I'm just going to take some of this white and mix it with just a tad bit of this blue, and I'm just going to put this on the road. In a slanted fashion. Even though it's going to, we still have to put on another coat of this, it's going to help in figuring out where it is on the sides of the road. Alright, so that's at least helpful in figuring out where the light bits need to go. So I'm gonna put a little bit of this texture in here. And maybe I won't have to change the color too much. I'm going to, now that I have that, I want to wait for that to dry before I put in the rest of the detail here. So I'm going to go ahead and work on the road, and then we'll do the yellow tree and then finish up down below. So let's go ahead, and I am going to get out my ultramarine blue. A little bit of that. And I'm going to just mix it in with this color that I already have. And then add a little bit of white and black. We need a little bit more blue. And that came out and is a lot. There we go. Alright, so I think this blue is a little bit better. And then I'm going to get out some more black so I can have like a darker effect of it, like a darker version of it. Alright. That works. I'm going to get my filbert and grab some white and some of this blue. I'm going to put it kind of in the middle area. And then I'm going to grab the medium color and put it on the sides. Essentially, we have a little bit of this lighter color in the middle. And then more of this kind of blue on the outside. and blend it in just a little bit. There is a lot of texture on this road, so it's okay if it's not perfectly blended. I'm just gonna put some of this darker on the edge. And I'm blending it fairly rough. And I'm sort of dry brushing it on the edge here so that it kind of blends in a little bit with the brushing that we did. Like the brush, the weeds and stuff on the side. And then this white part is going to come over here. But I think we're going to wait until it dries a little bit before we do that. So I'm going to go back in. I think that this light part was too white. So I'm just going to darken it up, and we'll move on to the right side. So right here I went a little bit too far over, so I'm just grabbing a clean brush, somewhat clean brush, and just removing, oops, that was not clean. I think I wiped it into some paint on accident. Just wipe it away. Grab some more this dark color. So again, just dry brushing kind of the outer edge of it. And this helps it feel like there's like weeds kind of coming over the edge. Maybe there's like not as many weeds coming over the edge right here, and it kind of sticks out a little bit more. You know, the edges aren't perfectly straight. The edges are going to seem more straight as it goes further because it's going to be further away. And being further away, it's a little bit lighter in the edge because there's a we'll just add some light over here. Makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to grab this blue and make some lighter color with it and just kind of gently brush this on. After this dries, because this set is dry and this set is not. So I'm going to wait on that. You'll see it was picking it up where it was blending in, where it was dry, or where it was wet and not where it's dry. So I'm gonna wait on that. Let's go ahead and do this yellow tree I've been dying to do. I'm gonna grab some yellow medium. Rinse out my brushes so they don't dry on me. Let's see. I'm going to get my filbert brush, I think, and get some of this yellow ochre and yellow medium. And I'm going to try it right here. And just touching the tip of the brush, it's going to come down and give a like a texture on the bottom, but not really the top. And then I can go into a little bit more of this brown as I get back in here. Now I don't want to cover up all this darkness. I'm just going to focus on the light parts where the sun is hitting it. And I'm actually going to add a little bit of white to this mixture because I think that'll be good. And I'm just going to add it in little bits here and there. I'm gonna go even lighter and even more yellow. And I put it on the left side, but I think I'm going to drown that side out a little bit because those aren't really the colors that need to be on that side. So I'm gonna get out some of my red to mix with my yellow ochre, just so I can bring a little bit of that orange tint. So I've done brown, yellow ochre, and a little bit of red. It's almost like a burnt sienna a little bit. Alright, and what I'm going to do right now is get some black with a dry brush. And put a little bit of this darkness back in here, because I've covered up a lot of it. And without the contrast, it's really hard to see what's going on. Some yellow bits here. some more over here. Alright, so now that this is dry, I'm going to take my large filbert, get some of this white with a little bit of that blue, and brush over I'm just going to go all the way across. And this is the only one that I'm really going to focus on having like hard edges. Then I'm going to take a brush and go ahead and start putting on some of the other detail in this road. And you can really do this with any brush you want. I think I'm going to change to a smaller brush so I can have a little bit more control. It's like some potholes over here. Maybe I'll even go in with my fan brush and just loosely put in some texture, mainly on the outer edge. A little bit of texture. I'm gonna go back over some of this. And I think the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to brighten up some of this. I just want the level of brightness to match. So I'm going to go in with my yellow ochre, maybe a little bit of yellow, some white. And going to just fuzzy up a little bit of the edges. And I'm going to use that same color just so that it's all consistent. And do some over here. And I'm going to take some of this color and give a little bit of detail. And some twigs that might be coming out. Just put a couple twigs coming out here and there. And I think I might even darken up this area. get some brown. So just keep playing around with it, giving texture in different places until you like the way it looks. I'm going to do one last thing, and that is give this road some white lines. So I'm going to take my blue, add a little bit of white to it. Take my white, add a little bit of blue to it. And just do the best you can in making it straight. Mine is in the sun, so I'm just going to lighten the part that's in the sun. And then add another one up here. There you go. Make this one a little bit whiter. And I think we're all done. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. It was a little bit different than I think some of the other things that we've done, but I really enjoyed this one. It's a lot, I don't know, sometimes it's freeing just being able to get out your brush and just dab away. But I hope you enjoyed this class. I'm looking forward to our next one. And yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night. If you'd like to donate or tip, feel free to do that. I also have a Patreon where I give out extra classes per month, and quick tip videos and everything like that. But I hope you enjoy your night or morning or whenever you're painting. And yeah, I guess we will see you in the next one. Have a good night, guys.